Hey there, it's Charlie. It's the C Show. We've got a solo Charlie episode here today. I'm going to be talking about BCW. I've got some updates there. Then I've got some thoughts on AEW, specifically the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Then we'll be moving on and talking about some general sports thoughts that I've got banging around in my head. And then wrapping it up with sort of a status update here on the C Show. I want to just start off the show here with saying the weather changed in Philly. It's really dry now. The leaves are changing finally. You can probably hear it a little bit in my voice. I do have some hot water and honey here next to me. So hopefully my voice improves over the course of this program. But last Saturday was BCW Battleground Championship Wrestling's Season of the Witch. So some pre-show thoughts. It was our first time vending and hyping up the show in person, and it was really cool. Thank you if you're listening here for the first time and you came up to me and you said, "Hey, I've seen your stuff." That means a lot. I appreciate you. Thank you. It was a really good experience. We had some people stop by, just have some good conversations. I wished we would have done a little bit better. Sales wise, but again, we learned a lot of lessons. I have some shout outs. Shout out to Kathy Fitzpatrick. We are now a bacon number of 2 from Booker T. Shout out to Beast Man, who we do need to connect with. And last but certainly not least here is Jess Sky. Shout out to you, Jess Sky. Watching your reaction to our poster filled me with so much joy. I really didn't know what to do with those emotions, but that's kind of the idea. Build a community of wrestling fans who like doing cool stuff and lift each other up. So the show started off. There was some news rumbling around beforehand. I'm going to talk a little bit about Nick Gage here in a minute. There were rumblings that there were some other no-shows as well. Apparently, Too Cold Scorpio couldn't make it. So we did have some adjustments to the card here. The first match was the Street Fight Championship, Drake Younger versus Shane Mercer. Pretty solid match. Good way to start off the show just with a bang, honestly, with the Street Fight Championship. That Drake Younger loves to throw himself around and loves to bleed, and Shane was fantastic as well. Next up, we had the powers, or I should mention that Drake Younger defeated Shane Mercer to retain the title. Pretty easy. I'm pretty sure it was a count out. So again, Drake, hate the Drake, and hope to see some new talent there in the Street Fight Championship, or perhaps somebody else from the wings of BCW. Next up, we had the Powers of Pain defeating Blackout. Now, shout out to Blackout. They were filming a movie tentatively called Bonzo Gonzo from Last Straw Films. Look out from your boys, The C Show. So we were sitting kind of like underneath the hard cam where we typically do. And our friend Alex comes up and he goes, "Hey, can you guys move up to the front?" And we're like, "Yeah, dude, whatever you need, we'll move up to the front. Sure." And he's like, "We need you to fill space. If somebody comes in and says, 'Hey, this is our seats, move.' No problem, dude. Whatever you need. We're here to help the BCW as much as possible." And so we're sitting there, and I didn't realize that we were sitting next to the movie cast, like the 2 main actors, and then the extras behind them. I didn't know how to I know how to interact with actors on set. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how to interact as a non-set worker. So, shout out to them. It was kind of a squash match. Ruckus got pinned by the Powers of Pain in like less than 3 minutes. The whole lead up and blackouts run up to the match was longer than the match itself. My favorite part about Blackout, of course, is leaning over to somebody for the first time seeing Blackout and going, "That is real weed." It's pretty funny. The last thing I want to mention here is that Powers of Pain, their age is really showing in and out of the ring. You know, yeah, guys, it hurt me to watch you. Next up, in a number one contender match for the BCW Championship, we've got Danny Doring, an ECW original, defeating our boy Alvin. Listen, the best cagematch.net review of this event includes the quote, "Danny needs to pull the straps up." Danny came out with the straps down, and it was like, yo, dude, what are you doing? Alvin had brand new ECW inspired ringwear. It was disappointing to see him lose to Danny fucking Boring. Like, dude, you had to know that when you came up with the name. I was literally chanting it, "Danny fucking Boring." And he paused to be like, oh, he's going to say my name. And then nah. It was pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Next up, we had Christian Ross and Jimmy Lloyd. Now, again, Christian Ross was going to face off against Nick Gage. Nick Gage had challenged him to this match, or let me say that vice versa. Christian Ross challenged Nick Gage to this match at the last BCW event, Hot Summer Nights, back in July. However, some updates here. This somehow went under the radar. It went out on Twitter. Brett Lauderdale, who runs GCW, who owns and runs Game Changer Wrestling, he said, quote, "Was going to hold off on any kind of public update, but I've seen people speculating, so I'll give a brief update. Nick Gage will not be attending any shows for the foreseeable future. He is currently in treatment and has been for several weeks and plans to stay indefinitely." So, we send our best wishes to Nick, his family, his friends. You got this. From slamwrestling.net, quote, "In 2010, Gage admitted that he had been addicted to Oxycontin and other painkillers in the past. He also had run-ins with the law, including possessions of stolen property and second-degree robbery. He was sentenced to 5 years for the bank robbery," end quote. Again, do highly recommend Dark Side of the Ring, Season 3, Episode 3, all about Nick Gage. Very, very intimate interview with Gage, going into his Tournament of Death experience and literally dying and coming back, to, what happened with his brother a few years ago. Earlier this year, his wife did pass away, so I'm sure he's just going through a lot. And again, we send our best to you, Nick Gage, the god of this shit. Next up, we had the BCW Championship, Crowbar versus Gangrel. While it's a great match, and I liked all of the storytelling and everything that happened inside of the match, having two 50-somethings compete for the main title is a major concern going forward for BCW. I don't want to, there's got to be a better way how we can both have these guys fight for some sort of title and then let younger talent compete more intensely for the BCW Championship. There was a great moment where there was a dad and his kid in front of us, and the movie crew during the Blackout Powers of Pain tag team match, the dad was pissed because the movie crew was in their way. Arguably so. Like, he paid a lot of money for these seats ringside at the 2300 Arena. And, this like indie movie crew, this movie that he's probably not going to see, it's going to be very difficult for him to see, is interrupting the time that he gets with his son. And I just want to shout out our friend Alex specifically, because we mentioned it, and it was just kind of like, this guy was like, he was yelling at the movie crew. I felt bad for the movie crew. I felt bad for the dad. I felt bad for the kid. I feel bad for everybody. I felt bad for everybody. But Alex, came by with some, I think, a poster, some other things as well for the kid. It was a really great moment. Later during this match, the Crowbar Gangrel match, Crowbar is slamming Gangrel's face into the barricade right in front of us, and Gangrel holds out his fist for the kid to bump it real quick. A nice little moment. I posted it on our story. You can check it out on the highlights on our profile on Instagram at CShowPod. Next up, since Sammy Chaos is in Japan and unable to defend the BCW Women's Championship, we've got a BCW Women's Championship #1 contender match. Lena Cross and Danny Moe. Danny, if you're listening, I fumbled. I forgot the Weenie Saurus at home. If you're coming to a show in Philadelphia, please let me know. But Danny Moe and Lena Cross probably put on one of the matches of the night. Lena Cross, a fantastic talent. She was also in Bell to Bell. That's why I was like, Lena Cross. I've seen that name before. I can't remember if we saw her at Bell to Bell. I was looking back at her notes. But she is a Bell to Bell talent as well. And, we're just really disappointed here to see Danny Moe go down here and lose to Lena Cross. Exciting to see some new talent in the BCW women's division. The one thing that I do want to say, again, indie wrestling, local wrestling is so much fun because you can yell at wrestlers. Now, your freedom of speech does have consequences if you say something stupid. Like I'll talk about here in a moment, things can happen. But if I'm yelling "no" at an Australian wrestler, that's pretty funny because I'm not Australian, and they say "no" and I say "no." So, that's what I was yelling "no." As Lena Cross pinned Danny Moe for that #1 contender spot. A match to be determined, or a match, not a time, date to be announced. Next up, we had Shlak and Beastman. Shlak, of course, the Combat Zone winner, or the Combat Zone Wrestling Tournament of Death winner earlier this summer. Defeating Beastman in a bloody match that includes Beastman getting I believe a 3D printed squirrel from the audience and then using it against Shlak. I had to warn people that were coming with us the first time with Connor and I. Jared and Connor's wife came with us for her first time at BCW, and just explaining hey folks, these guys, there's gonna be, yes, you have to get over the initial hurdle of yes, these guys know that they're bleeding, they're doing it on purpose, it's cool and it's fun. But again, the Shlak is not that big of a guy. He's 5'8", 5'9". But he's stocky. He's real stocky. He's like a Tasmanian devil in that way. And Beastman is huge. Beastman came by our table before the event and looking through cards and stuff. And again, Beastman, hit us up on Instagram, and I can look through my cards, send you over some stuff for sure. No problem. But I'm oh my gosh, what a matchup. But Shlak ended up taking that one from Beastman there by pinfall. And next up, we were supposed to have Too Cold Scorpio versus Masada. Jared was really very interested to see Masada, a guy from Texas, apparently. And he was explaining to me after we recorded last time that Masada is a mountain in Israel. There's a whole history behind it. I won't get into it because mostly I don't remember it, the specifics of it. I do remember you telling me about it, Jared. However, like I mentioned earlier, Too Cold Scorpio was rumored to not have being able to attend. The circumstances around that are unsure. I'm not going to ask our friend Alex, and I'm not going to ask Tim, who I talked to a little bit. Shout out to Tim. We're going to talk about that in a moment here. But I don't want to ask Tim because I know the guy is busy, and I want to like give him a little bit of space to make sure that like the show goes well. So I don't want to be like, hey, I heard Too Cold Scorpio isn't going to be here. What's going on? Like, I got to keep things copacetic, But we did have a surprise talent fill in there by B-Boy. B-Boy defeating Masada. Masada, I really loved watching Masada wrestle. I hope he makes his way back up here. I hope he just didn't head off down to Texas, down to Texas. But a really phenomenal hardcore style wrestler. So interested to see more of him. And hopefully, this match was the ending of this match was good. B-Boy, of course, defeats Masada, and then he gets into I guess a verbal argument with an audience member at the 2300 arena, and it spills out. And I need to go back and watch the pay-per-view. I really do. And see what exactly was going on, because I'm like peeking up like a meerkat to see what exactly was happening. But again, a great match there. And really making lemonade out of lemons. Last, but certainly not least, we've got the Halloween horror match, Matt Tremont and Phil Insane. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Matt and Phil do not leave anything on the table for us here. You would think, maybe a little something to tide us over until Thanksgiving, but nah, table is clear. This had everything you could want. Anything and everything you could want in a hardcore wrestling match. Chairs, tables, doors, cheese graters, a pumpkin. So, yeah, pretty good theme-wise. And it was really cool. A little bit behind the curtain. I heard, Tim and Matt. I believe it was Phil. And Tim Embler and Phil are talking as I'm packing up my stuff and rolling it back out to the car. And I'm kind of taking a second to like listen in and be like, what's going on here? And, Tim's like, moved up the card. You're the main event, hardcore stuff, yada, 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 explaining like what's going on around. I was like, this is pretty cool. Matt Tremont defeats Phil Insane there. Matt, an awesome, fantastic talent, gets on the mic, shouts out Phil, gives him his flowers. Love to see it. Usually by the middle of a BCW event, we kind of know what the next one is, what it's going to be called, who the special guest is going to be. We don't know what that is yet. We don't. What happens next with BCW? My contact within BCW, Alex, has told me that we're just not sure when the next show is. From what I've seen from the announcer, or not the announcer, but Kevin Gill, one of the commentators, seeing from Tim Post on the official BCW Instagram account, we don't know when the next event is going to be, is a way of saying we're not able to book the next show yet. And that's also one thing. There's also this is over and we just don't know how to say that yet. Listen, all three of those are completely valid. I'm really just waiting to see what Tim and Alex tell me. And what I really want to say, most of all, is thank you, Tim. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, BCW. I think that's the most important thing I want to get across, is that Tim Embler has been nothing but a pleasure to work with. Letting us swing by, talk to talent, having a table here at the last show. He's been nothing but an absolute pleasure for us to work with. So I again, thank you so much, Tim, for making it kind of easy for us. And And again, thank you, Alex, for all of the work that you do, of course, but also, the connection and bringing us into BCW, into bringing us in to the 2300 arena. And again, thank you, Battleground Championship Wrestling. Now, listen, not to be tacky or nothing, but somebody's got to put food on the table and keep the lights on around here. So, deals. AMC, you know it, you'll love it. Your three favorite letters after AEW. What's at the movies now? Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. I was hoping to talk to Jared about this and learn a little bit more about his thoughts on the Springsteen biopic, the first, I'm sure, of several. We also have Chainsaw Man, the movie, Reze Arc. Chainsaw Man. He's a man. He's a chainsaw. It's anime. It's not my thing, folks. We've also got the Black Phone 2 if you're looking for that Halloween horror buzz before the end of the month. Coming soon to wide release this Friday, Begonia, the new film from Yorgos Lanthimos, featuring podcast favorite Stavros Halkias. We also have Sentimental Value, the new Joaquin Trier film. All the good Oscar stuff is coming out now. Sentimental Value also has Stellan Skarsgård and Renata Renzi, which is awesome. Fantastic. Love it. Also, coming to AMC, did you know you can watch combat sports at AMC? Yeah, that's absolutely right. They're showing UFC 322. You can learn more, check out all of this if you go to the link in our description or visit linktr.ee/cshowpod to access this deal on behalf of your friends here at the C Show. Again, using this link directly supports the show. It's kind of like a gift card. You buy one and you can sit on it. You can wait for it. Or if you are like, I want to see a movie right now, I know what I want to see, use this link. It really supports us. T's and C's apply. Please make sure to read the fine print. Welcome back to the C Show. I'm Charlie, and on this next segment here, I wanted to just throw out some thoughts about AEW, some things that have been going on. The first one is with Kris Statlander and Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné on the hunt for another belt to add to her collection here, her 12 belt collection. Something scary that I learned about Mercedes Moné is that she is 2 years older than me, and I feel very inadequate, but I have to also remind myself that I have not been wrestling at a high level like she has for the past 8 years or so. So just give yourself some grace, Charlie. Kris Statlander was challenged by Mercedes Moné here to her Statlander's AEW championship, women's championship. They'll be fighting at Full Gear for that. I think it's really interesting. I was thinking about it earlier just to myself, but Kris Statlander is quickly becoming like my women's wrestler, or my female wrestler of the year. As much as I give Tony her flowers and Tony Storm her flowers, and she defended her title multiple times this year, Statlander really is proving herself not only on this initial run as a really strong title holder, as a champion, as a title holder. She's building this really unique storyline here with Moné, where Statlander is defending what's hers. She's worked so hard to get here, working up through the indies, fighting through an incredibly talented women's division in AEW to defeat a potentially one of the greats of women's wrestling in Tony Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. And so I think just right off the bat here, it's starting off really strong, and I really need it to go strong. For Mercedes Moné, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more here in the tag team bracket. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Mercedes Moné. Please let this not be the moral of this sort of soapbox I'm on here. But let's make sure that the titles are evenly spread, at least, or let's make sure that there is a good way to distribute these titles afterwards, where it's we're giving the belts to deserving champions, and these storylines pay out well. That being said, the Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament, I'll just move right into that next here. That was finally released as Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter won the 4-way on Dynamite last week. And again, we've got in this first match, as the Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter picked, the Sisters of Sin, Triangle of Madness, Julia Hart and Sky Blue face off in the first match. I think Aminata and Hayter are probably are going to win this, right? And let the Sisters of Sin, the Triangle of Madness, let them continue to sort of antagonize the rest of the women's division. I think it's pretty interesting. On the other side of the bracket, we've got Alex Windsor and Riho versus Tourney, Storm, and Mina Shirakawa, the Timeless Love Bombs. I think this one is going to be really tight. You've got 4 fantastic talents. Mina and Riho, I have not seen a lot of. Alex, of course, got this high-flying talent, and Tourney, of course, with all of her style and grappling ability. It's going to be a really fantastic match. Of course, we're hoping that the Timeless Love Bombs go through there. Diagonally, as we go down, we've got Willow and Harley. Feel the Wrath, I guess we're going with that, with the name of their tag team. But just a fantastic combination of talent there. Their personalities play off so well off of each other. Love it. They're facing off against Mercedes Moné and Ring of Honor, former Ring of Honor. I'm not sure. I've got to catch up on that. What if I had a magic Google thing in front of me? Wrestler. They're facing off against Mercedes Moné and Athena. Moné, of course, we don't need to list off all of her belts. We're all very familiar with all of the belts that she holds right now. But Athena is the current Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. She's held that title for 1,051 days as of recording now. So again, a pretty impressive team right there in terms of Moné and Athena going against Willow and Harley. I really hope that Willow and Harley pull one out here, just so that we have something other than Mercedes Moné chasing another belt, because this kind of feels tired. She's broken the record, and, as much as we would love to see her collect belts, it's kind of novelty. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about 20, let's talk about 30, right? And then it's at that point, you're watering it down. What's the point, right? On the other side there, in our final match of the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament, we've got Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus TJ, who actually faced off against our friend. I wouldn't say she's a friend, but we've seen her before. Nixon Newell during Collision on Saturday night. Let me get my notes here. But Lexi Nair was talking with Anna Jay and Tay Mello, again, of TJ. They have been building and fighting for this division. But Nixon Newell and Miranda Elise, again, Nixon, the girl with the shiniest wizard, and the lucha baddie, Miranda Elise. Yes, Nixon, the best wrestler in AEW. That's why you're there. And again, it's just another point I want to hit of, this is why you should be watching indie wrestling. This is why you should go to local wrestling, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to see, and then you don't know what those people are going to do. So it's a really incredible opportunity there. So love to see it. Love that we're finally getting a women's tag team championship. I wish I had somebody to bounce some ideas off of here and make some guesses. I know that Jared's a big Queen Naminata fan, so we're going to have some difficulty in the next round here. I don't know what Connor's going to say. So Connor, sound off. Sound off. The last thing that I want to talk about here is, kind of expanding on Jared's thoughts on the Death Riders, where Jon Moxley needs the Death Riders in order to win. He needs them to win anything. The Death Riders all need each other to win. I'm really interested to see where we go next with the Death Riders. And I'm not saying that I potentially want to see the Death Riders break apart and disband, but with all of the losses that Jon Moxley has been taking, right, on Dynamite, on Dynamite, instead of tapping out, Moxley has to stoop as low to attack the referee. Will this cause consternation? Will this cause division within the Death Riders? Who takes up leadership within the Death Riders? Is it Claudio? Claudio seems like a muscle guy. He's kind of like a henchman. He's not really a leader. He's not really a face, if you will, a face of the stable. Same with Schiff here as well. Is it Yuta? Is it Garcia? Maybe. I just don't think Garcia has the charisma for it. So I'm really interested to see what happens next with the Death Riders. Jon Moxley is really growing on me as a heel, as a villain character. I think it's kind of it is interesting, right? It's this guy. He's kind of a brawler, and it's a guy that you would fight at a bar. I think, while the concept of the gimmick is tired, Moxley is doing something interesting with it. After I record this, I'll be watching AEW Dynamite. It's Wednesday, October 29th. So I'll be watching Dynamite after this. And really excited to see what they do with both four-way fights. So we have a four-way fight. We've got a singles four-way fight, and a tag team four-way fight. So again, we've got a Fright Night four-way fight for a number one contenders match for the AEW Men's World Championship. Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, Hook, and Samoa Joe. Bobby Lashley, like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not like the other. It's Bobby Lashley. I feel like Bobby Lashley is not the one that fits in there. He feels so in with the Hurt Syndicate that it feels wrong to break them apart. It would be really interesting to see Ricochet win this match, this four-way, and become the number one contender for the AEW men's title against Hangman. It would also be really interesting for Hook, but I think it's a little early for him, especially coming back off the injury. His last two matches have literally been squashes where he just fights jobbers and it's over in less than 5 minutes. So, it does a little smack of nepotism. It is what it is. Samoa Joe, let's see it. That would rock. And then we also have the Fright Night four-way tag team match. That's FTR, the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and Jurassic Express. We'll have more talking about that next week on The C Show. Next up here, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to rant for a second. I have two sort of general sports thoughts that I want to get off my chest. And if we've hung out or whatever, you've probably heard this, but I have a podcast and I get to pontificate. Okay, this NBA gambling scandal, it's going to get worse. More people are going to talk. And more is going to come out, and more people are just going to slip and say stupid thing on podcasts. At the end of the day, I think this is beyond like warming up the envelopes or cooling the balls or whatever Stern was doing for the draft. I mean, we're talking about players throwing the game. We're talking about like referees, manipulating the game to manipulate outcomes. Players manipulating prop bets. I mean, beyond the constant, my two main gripes about marketing now is that it's all AI or gambling. I mean, what is AI but a big gamble? And the debt bubble for gambling grows every day, so much larger. I mean, we're going to see violence happen at casinos, in domestic situations, publicly, of people lashing out when they lose. Just like a quick aside, I was in Vegas a couple years ago for a bachelor party, and the first night I'm there, a guy walks away from the table and he goes, "Fuck!" and then throws his water bottle against the floor. And we walked past 20 minutes later, and everything had been cleaned up and the spot was dry and nothing had happened. The way that these gambling companies have inserted themselves into sports is odious. It's concerning. And at the end of the day, I think the integrity of the leagues are at stake. I'm not kidding. Like, when you've got players who are being paid millions of dollars every year, and they're finding ways to shave points and, gamble and do stupid shit. I think several years ago when the Phillies were playing the Astros, somebody asked me, they're like, "Why are you so mad about the Astros cheating scandal?" And I'm like, well, because at the end of the day, kids watch this stuff, man. Like, kids watch this. Like, aside from you and me, adults, right, who we have the free will to go and watch whatever we want. Sports are meant to be for everybody. Like, it's a unifying thing. And at the end of the day, if we're forcing, like, if this is being shoved in front of kids' faces, where, hey, gamble on this, gamble on that, put a futures bet, put a prop bet, parlay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are the odds on this? Spread, over, under, yada, yada, yada. That's all kids are going to see it as. It's a way to make money. It's just like, it's there. And on top of that, like, if kids see, like, hey, it's okay to cheat, it's okay to gamble, it's okay to skirt around the rules. Like, what are we doing? No, seriously, like, what are we doing? And, like, I don't want to be a woke moralist or anything. Like, I listen, I am not a paragon of virtue. I do my goddamn best. But at the end of the day, like, you're getting paid millions of dollars and still yet, like, you have to make more. Like, how much is enough? Seriously, how much is enough? There's kids starving. The schools are underfunded, and, like, you need to go and gamble $10,000 a hand. Speaking of gambling $10,000 a hand, the Minnesota Vikings. Listen, solo podcast, Charlie stuff. What is up with the NFL just basically saying, nah, that didn't happen, when it's obvious, clear and obvious, that Will Reichard's kicks are being blocked by camera cables that are not being normally accounted for? And it begs the question, okay, is this a sport or is this an entertainment product? Okay, that's one thing. And the league basically going like, oh yeah, those would have gone in, but they went off because of a cable, and what are you going to do about it? Swear to God, if this was the Chiefs, if this was the Patriots 5-10 years ago, if this was the Packers, the Cowboys, this would not be happening. The league would have rectified it. They would have apologized. They would be finding a solution right now. But it's the Minnesota Vikings. If this was, like the Cardinals or another, like, smaller franchise, but it's the Minnesota Vikings. So that's why nothing's going to happen. We're a smaller market. Just screw you, dude. And speaking of getting screwed, Kevin O'Connell playing Carson Wentz when he's clearly injured. Okay, either one, we're sadists here, okay, and we hate Carson Wentz. Listen, I've been hanging around Philadelphians for too long. I have some, unfortunately, negative opinions about Carson Wentz for some reason. They just like seep into me. It's like being raised in a cult sort of thing. But again, like, I'm not watching this game because I don't watch stuff that stresses me out for no good reason. But again, kids watch this stuff, man. And again, if we're just going to show kids like, oh, if you're injured, your boss is going to make you work and just like throw you under the bus on national television in front of the entire nation. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, you may be wondering, like, Charlie, what is your point here? What do these have to do with wrestling? Here's my point. The only real sport is wrestling, because at least they're honest. They will tell you straight up, like, hey, this is scripted. Like, the bumps are not fake. Like they're true with you. Like, the hits are real. The outcome isn't. But, like, everything else around it is real. And, like, yes, there's that line, but that blurry line of, like, what's real, what's not real, that's part of the enjoyment of it, I feel like. Because when you're at an indie wrestling show and you're watching B-Boy accost somebody who's been chirping him his entire match, and you're like, yo, what are they saying? Is B-Boy, like, legitimately mad is he mad at this guy? Like, did this guy say something really stupid? And on the other side of it, you get to see cool stuff of, like, Nixon Newell performing in front of less than 100 people. And then she's on TV less than a month later. You don't get that in anything else, I don't feel like. Like, it is so insane how in the short time that I've, like, really been watching wrestling as, like, a dedicated fan, like, how ridiculous this is compared to other sports and other sort of, and, like, ridiculous in the best way possible. It's so engaging and fun and enthralling. And I was on a podcast, you'll see it on our socials, shout out to Joe Panther III, but you know, I was like, hey, you know, like, how do you keep things separate? Like, how do you not do 100% wrestling? Because sometimes it feels like you're doing 100% wrestling. And, you know, after a weekend like this and watching content, or, you know, watching the shows this week, watching the product this week, brother, you know, it just makes me so much more glad of, and like, seeing Jess's reaction to the poster. Jess, again, if you're listening, like, thank you. I needed that. It was awesome. And like, creating this community and, like, doing cool things and, like, seeing cool things happen. Like, this is what this was all about, folks. So, listen, I appreciate you listening this far in. I've got a little bit of a status update, sort of an accountability thing, but mostly a status update here for The C Show. Welcome back to The C Show, wrapping up here with a status update for The C Show. I wanted to just kind of lay out what my priorities are as I don't want to say executive producer. I guess I am the executive producer of The C Show. Ugh. But my main three priorities are, my 4 priorities are: 1, make cool shit. 2, continue to make connections with local promotions and talent. If you want to get on the show, if you've got an event coming up, if you've got a reel you want me to share on our Instagram account, hit me up. Our weekly coverage. Football season is ending. So once Connor's wrapped up with football season, we're going to get right back into it. We've got some exciting stuff. And then finally, last but not least, I do also want to have some more content on here. I talked with somebody who could help out with some research that I want to be doing, but also I want to be doing for story time, that is, but also I want to be doing ReCW. So going through, watching old ECW, sort of like a director's commentary. So just trying to figure out what's a way of making this accessible for you, our listener, if you want to watch along with us. So I started doing some research for that. This date in history. So listen, I've got some really exciting stuff up my sleeve. I know Connor is raring at the bits. Jared is going to feel better soon. And we're going to get cooking here on The C Show. Of course you like The C Show. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with your friends. Support the show directly at ko-fi.com/cshowpod. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, and YouTube at C Show Pod. Have a question for the boys? Send an email, cshowpod@gmail.com. Thanks to our friends Amir, Patrick, and Justin for their assistance. The C Show is a production of 832 Media. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Check it out.